As the day of the historic meeting arrived, excitement filled the air. The Zelthar leaders gathered in the Grand Hall, a massive structure made of crystal that sparkled in the sunlight. Bright banners hung from the walls, each one telling the story of their peaceful journey. The atmosphere was filled with hope and anticipation. Zelthar Chancellor Lorien stood at the front, his tall, slender frame almost glowing with pride. He addressed the crowd with a calm voice. "Today, we welcome our new partners from Earth, the humans. Together, we can create a brighter future." The crowd erupted into applause, their hearts full of optimism. As the doors opened, the human representatives walked in. They were a mix of tall and short, with different skin colors and hairstyles. The Zelthar had never seen such diversity. The humans looked around in wonder at the shimmering hall and the elegant Zelthar. The leader of the human delegation, Captain Sarah Jones, stepped forward. She had bright blue eyes and an air of confidence that commanded attention. "Thank you for welcoming us," she said with a warm smile. "We look forward to working with you and sharing our knowledge." While the Zelthar were impressed, they couldn't shake their uncertainty. Humans were known for their unpredictability and fierce independence. Chancellor Lorien tried to keep the mood light. "We are excited to learn from each other," he said. "Together we will achieve great things." As the meeting began, the Zelthar presented their advanced technologies in agriculture and medicine. They demonstrated how they could grow food in extreme conditions and heal injuries with special plants. The humans listened carefully, impressed by the Zelthar's wisdom and achievements. Then it was the humans' turn to speak. They shared stories of their struggles and victories, including battles against enemies and their journey to explore the stars. Captain Jones talked about how humans had overcome great challenges and learned from their mistakes. "We fight fiercely for what we believe in," she said, her eyes sparkling with passion. "And we stand united in the face of danger." The Zelthar listened with rapt attention. They began to see humans not just as allies, but as partners who could bring strength to their mission. However, not everyone in the council was convinced. Some leaders whispered to each other, their brows furrowed with concern. "Can we really trust them?" one of them asked. "What if their fighting spirit brings chaos instead of peace?" But Lorien stood firm. "We must give them a chance," he replied. "If we are to succeed, we need each other." As the day turned to night, the celebration began. Zelthar musicians played soft melodies that floated through the air like gentle breezes. Humans danced, showing off their lively moves. Laughter filled the hall, and for a moment, it seemed like nothing could go wrong. Yet deep down, a nagging doubt lingered in the hearts of some Zelthar. The stories of humans were filled with battles and conflicts. Would their alliance truly bring peace, or would it lead to new troubles? As the festivities continued, Lorien watched Captain Jones dancing with some of his people, her laughter ringing out like music. He hoped that this partnership would lead to a better future. Little did they know that this new alliance would soon be tested in ways they could never imagine. And so, under the stars that shone brightly over Zelthara, a new chapter began, filled with promise and uncertainty. The next few weeks flew by as the Zelthar and humans worked side by side. They were determined to strengthen their new alliance. The Zelthar shared their knowledge of farming and healing, while the humans offered training in strategy and defense. Excitement filled the air as both sides learned from each other. Captain Sarah Jones took charge of the joint training sessions. She gathered a team of human soldiers and invited Zelthar warriors to join them. The training ground was a large open area surrounded by tall trees and colorful flowers. The sun shone bright, making everything look vibrant. "Today we will practice together," Sarah announced to the gathered crowd. "Let's show each other our best moves." The Zelthar, with their graceful movements, quickly impressed the humans. They were agile and fast, able to dodge attacks effortlessly. One Zelthar warrior named Thoran was especially skilled. He moved like a dancer, using his body to avoid every strike. The humans clapped and cheered, amazed by the Zelthar's abilities. But when it was the humans' turn, everyone watched in awe. They had a different style, one filled with raw power and determination. Captain Jones led her team in a series of drills, demonstrating how to work as a unit. "Stay focused and trust each other," she shouted as they practiced their formations. As the day went on, the Zelthar began to realize that humans had a unique strength. They were unpredictable, but this very quality made them formidable allies. Each human brought something different to the table. Some were great at planning, while others excelled in combat. After a long day of training, the Zelthar and humans gathered around a campfire to relax. The stars twinkled above, creating a beautiful backdrop for their growing friendship. They shared stories about their homes and dreams for the future. Thorin, the Zelthar warrior, told a tale about his childhood. "When I was young, I used to climb the tallest trees," he said, his eyes shining with excitement. "I wanted to touch the stars." The humans listened, captivated by his passion and bravery. In return, one of the human soldiers, Mike, shared a story about his family. "We used to sit around the fire telling ghost stories," he laughed. "It was the best part of my childhood." The Zelthar laughed with him, enjoying the bond they were forming. As their friendship deepened, Sarah suggested a joint mission to test their skills in real action. "Let's take this partnership to the next level," she said. "We should explore the nearby forest and see if we can find new resources together." The Zelthar agreed, excited for the adventure. They prepared supplies and set off early the next morning. The forest was dense and full of life. Bright flowers bloomed everywhere, and strange creatures roamed the shadows. As they ventured deeper, they stumbled upon a hidden valley filled with a strange, glowing plant. The Zelthar gasped in wonder. "This is amazing!" Thoran exclaimed. "It can be used for healing!" But before they could gather the plants, they heard rustling in the bushes. A group of rogue alien raiders emerged, their eyes filled with malice. They had heard about the Zelthar's alliance with humans and wanted to destroy it. "Protect each other!" Sarah shouted as the raiders charged. The Zelthar and humans quickly fell into formation. They fought side by side, surprising the raiders with their teamwork. The humans used their strategic training, while the Zelthar displayed their speed and agility. Together, they fought bravely, pushing back the attackers. The raiders were taken aback by the strength of the new alliance. When the battle ended, everyone stood in disbelief. They had won, not just as allies, but as friends. The Zelthar and humans cheered, realizing they had become a powerful team. As they celebrated their victory, Captain Jones looked at Thoran and smiled. "We're not just allies, we're family now." The Zelthar nodded, feeling the warmth of their bond. But even as they celebrated, a shadow loomed over their victory. They knew that more challenges awaited them in the days to come. The real test of their partnership was still ahead. The victory over the raiders strengthened the bond between the Zelthar and humans. Excitement buzzed in the air as both sides realized they could accomplish great things together. However, their newfound peace was about to face a serious challenge. After the battle, Captain Sarah Jones called a meeting to discuss their next steps. The Grand Hall was filled with Zelthar warriors and human soldiers, all eager to hear what Sarah had to say. "Today we showed what we can do together," she began, her voice strong and confident. "But we must prepare for the challenges ahead. More enemies will come." Lorien, the Zelthar Chancellor, nodded. "We must be ready," he agreed. "We can learn from each other. The humans have a fighting spirit we have never seen before." As they discussed strategies, Thoran spoke up. "We should practice more combat drills. The humans are strong, but we must learn to fight as one." The others agreed, and the group began planning daily training sessions. In the following days, the training intensified. Humans showed their unique fighting styles, and the Zelthar adapted their graceful movements to blend with the humans' powerful techniques. Captain Jones led the drills, pushing everyone to their limits. She encouraged them, saying, "Keep going. We are building a powerful team." During one training session, Sarah decided to test their skills in a mock battle. "Let's split into two teams," she suggested. "One will attack and the other will defend. We will see how well we can work together." The teams lined up, ready for action. The humans used their weapons, lasers, and plasma rifles, while the Zelthar relied on their agility and quick reflexes. The battle began, and the air was filled with the sounds of laughter, shouts, and the whirring of energy beams. At first, things were chaotic. Humans shouted orders while Zelthar darted around, dodging beams of light. But slowly, they began to understand each other. The humans learned to trust the Zelthar's speed, while the Zelthar adapted to the humans' strategy. In the midst of the mock battle, Thoran found himself teamed with Mike, one of the human soldiers. They faced off against Sarah and another Zelthar warrior. Thoran quickly realized that Mike's strength lay in his fierce determination. "Follow my lead," he yelled, and Mike nodded, ready to listen. They attacked Sarah and her partner with precision. Mike charged forward, drawing the attention of their opponents. Thoran used this moment to slip behind them, using his agility to surprise Sarah. She was impressed by their teamwork. "Great job, you two!" she shouted. realizing that their combined efforts made them stronger. After hours of training, they all gathered to catch their breath. Captain Jones smiled at everyone. "We did amazing today, but we must keep pushing ourselves. We need to be ready for anything." The group agreed, feeling proud of their progress. One evening, as they trained under the stars, they heard urgent news. A massive enemy fleet was approaching, and they intended to invade Zelthera. Panic spread through the ranks as they realized the danger they faced. "We must defend our home," Lorien declared, his voice strong despite the fear surrounding them. Sarah stepped forward, her expression serious. "We can't face this threat alone. We need to show them the power of our alliance. Together we will fight for our worlds." The humans cheered, feeling the fire of determination ignite within them. In preparation for the battle, both sides worked together tirelessly. The Zelthar gathered their warriors while the humans organized their technology. They were ready to put their training to the test. As night fell, they gathered one last time, knowing that the battle ahead would determine their future. Captain Jones looked around at her friends, both human and Zelthar, and felt a sense of pride. "We will fight together," she said, her voice filled with conviction. "We are stronger as one." With that, they stood side by side, ready to defend Zelthera. The power of humans and Zelthar combined was unstoppable, and they would face whatever came next together. As the days passed, the tension grew among the Zelthar and humans. The threat of the invading fleet loomed large, and doubts began to creep in. Although they had fought bravely together, fear started to take hold in the hearts of some. One evening, Thorin sat alone in the training yard, staring at the stars. He felt uneasy. What if the humans aren't as strong as we think, he wondered. They had fought well together, but could they really trust each other in a real battle? He shook his head, trying to push the thoughts away. Meanwhile, Sarah was also feeling the weight of the upcoming battle. She had confidence in her team, but what if their training wasn't enough? "We've never faced an enemy like this," she muttered to herself as she paced in her quarters. "What if someone gets hurt because of me?" The following morning, Sarah decided to call a meeting. She wanted to address everyone's fears before the battle. As she gathered the Zelthar and humans in the Grand Hall, she noticed the tension in the room. "We are all feeling the pressure," she began, her voice steady. "But we must trust one another. We have trained hard and we are ready." But not everyone was convinced. A young Zelthar warrior named Kale stepped forward, his eyes filled with doubt. "How can we be sure the humans will not turn on us? They are different from us, and we do not know their true nature." A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd. Thorin felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He wanted to support Sarah, but Kale's words echoed in his mind. Could they really trust the humans? The doubts festered, creating a rift in their once unified front. Sarah tried to calm the group. "We must stick together. We are allies, and together we are strong." But Kale was not satisfied. "What if we are just tools for their war? What if they abandon us when we need them the most?" The tension in the room escalated as more voices of doubt emerged. Thorin felt torn. He believed in their alliance, but he also understood the fear that gripped his people. As arguments erupted, Sarah's heart sank. She realized that the unity they had built was fragile. In the chaos, an unexpected figure stepped forward. It was Lorien, the Zelthar Chancellor. His voice was calm yet firm. "We have fought side by side. We must put aside our fears and stand together. If we betray each other now, we will lose everything." His words had an impact. Some began to quiet down, but the doubts lingered. The meeting ended without resolution, and Sarah felt a heavy weight on her shoulders. She knew that without trust, they could not win. As the days passed, the invading fleet drew closer. Tensions simmered among the ranks, and whispers of betrayal circulated. Sarah could sense the growing unease, but she had to keep her focus on the battle ahead. On the eve of the attack, she gathered her team for one last strategy session. "Tomorrow we fight for our homes," she said, trying to rally their spirits. "We must protect each other and trust in our skills." However, even as she spoke, she noticed some glances exchanged between Zelthar warriors. Kale and a few others were whispering together, their expressions serious. Sarah's heart raced. What were they planning? That night, as Sarah prepared for battle, she caught Kale sneaking away from the camp. Her instincts kicked in, and she quietly followed him. He led her to a hidden spot in the woods where he met with a group of Zelthar warriors. They were discussing their plan to betray the humans during the battle. "They are not to be trusted," Kale said passionately. We will attack them when the humans are distracted by the enemy. It's the only way to save our people, Sarah gasped, hiding behind a tree. Anger and fear flooded her. She realized that not everyone believed in the alliance. The betrayal was brewing within their own ranks. She needed to warn Captain Jones and the others before it was too late. Heart racing, Sarah returned to camp and rushed to find Captain Jones. "We have a serious problem," she exclaimed. "Some of the Zelthar plan to betray us during the battle." Sarah's warning shocked Sarah, but they had little time to act. The enemy fleet was only hours away. With their trust shaken, could they still stand together against the coming storm? The morning sun rose over Zelthara, casting a warm glow on the battlefield. But there was no time for celebration. Sarah Jones and Lorian gathered everyone for one final briefing before the fight began. Tension filled the air as humans and Zelthar stood together, ready to face the enemy. As the crowd assembled, Sarah felt her heart racing. She glanced at Lorian, who gave her a nod of encouragement. "We must work together," he said, addressing the assembled troops. "Today we fight for our worlds. Together we are stronger." But doubt lingered. Kale and his followers stood at the back, their faces grim. Sarah knew they were still planning their betrayal, and it worried her. She had to make sure that didn't happen. "Listen carefully," Sarah shouted, trying to cut through the unease. "We will face a powerful enemy today, but we know their strengths and weaknesses. If we fight as one, we will prevail." The warriors nodded, some more confidently than others. Sarah stepped down, determined to keep their spirits high. "Let's show the enemy what we are made of," she shouted, and the crowd cheered. As they moved to their positions, Sarah spotted Kale whispering to a small group of Zelthar warriors. She knew she had to act fast. "Lorian, I need you to trust me," she said urgently. "We must keep a close eye on Kale and his group. If they try to betray us during the battle, we need to stop them." Lorian's eyes narrowed with concern. "I will keep my warriors alert. But we cannot let our fear cloud our judgment. We have to believe in each other." With their plan in place, Sarah and Lorian joined their teams at the front lines. The enemy fleet appeared on the horizon, darkening the sky. The sight was both frightening and thrilling. "Ready yourselves," Sarah called out. "Stay sharp and remember our training." As the enemy ships drew closer, the atmosphere crackled with tension. The humans prepared their laser cannons while the Zelthar readied their energy shields. The countdown began. Sarah took a deep breath, her heart pounding. "This is it," she whispered to herself. The first wave of enemy ships launched their attacks. Explosions lit up the sky as blasts of energy rained down. Sarah shouted orders, guiding her team through the chaos. "Return fire! Aim for their engines!" The humans fired their weapons, and the Zelthar used their agility to dodge incoming blasts. The combined forces pushed forward, slowly gaining ground against the enemy. But just as victory seemed possible, Sarah spotted Kale and his group moving stealthily toward her team. "Lorian!" she yelled, pointing. "They're going to betray us." In an instant, chaos erupted. Kale and his followers launched an attack on Sarah's team, taking advantage of the distraction. The humans were taken off guard, and confusion spread like wildfire. "Fight back!" Sarah shouted, but it was hard to regain control. Lorian quickly mobilized his warriors. "Hold the line," he commanded, moving to confront Kyle. "This is not the way! We must fight together." Kale hesitated, caught between loyalty to his people and the alliance. "But they are not like us," he yelled. "They will turn on us." "Trust is what makes us strong," Lorian replied, his voice firm. "If we do not stand together, we will all fall." In that moment, something shifted in Kale. He saw the chaos around him, the destruction and fear, and realized that betrayal would only lead to more suffering. With a deep breath, he turned to his warriors. "We will fight alongside the humans," he declared, raising his weapon. The Zelthar warriors, seeing their leader's change of heart, quickly rallied behind him. "For Zelthara and humanity," they shouted, joining forces with the humans once more. With newfound strength, the united front pushed back against the enemy. They fought fiercely, the humans' weapons and the Zelthar's agility complementing each other perfectly. Together, they became a force to be reckoned with. As the battle raged on, Sarah felt hope rising in her chest. They were fighting as one, and it was making all the difference. "We can do this!" she shouted, her voice carrying above the noise. "Together we will win." The enemy fleet began to falter under the combined attacks. Ships exploded in bright bursts of light, and cheers erupted from the united forces. Finally, the remaining enemy ships began to retreat, and victory was within their grasp. As the dust settled, Sarah and Lorien stood side by side, breathing heavily but triumphant. The doubts that had plagued them were gone, replaced by a sense of unity and strength. "We did it!" Sarah exclaimed, smiling at Lorien. "Yes," he replied, his eyes shining with pride. "Together we stand strong." And in that moment, they knew that their alliance was unbreakable, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.